Hello, this is Anke Corbin with Globig. I am here in Munich with Professor Dr. Horst Domdey with Bioam. Thank you so very much for joining me this evening. I would love to have you share with our listeners what is Bioam and what is the kind of the business that you're doing in startup world.
Well, Munich is a very interesting biotechnology cluster. It has developed over the past 20 years or so. And for organizing all the activities, it was about 18 years ago that we founded an organization with the wonderful name Bioam. And in this context, we can say it's a biotech cluster management organization. But with us, it goes even beyond. That's why in the official title, we call ourselves Biotech Cluster Development Organization, because we want to be creative and always start new things. So we are in a development process.
Other than them being in biotech, obviously, what stage does a company need to be for them to qualify? What is your sweet spot, if you will, on the types of companies you like to work with?
Well, these companies should fit into a very specific scheme. And the scheme that we have here, or the environment that we have here, is a very specific topic in life sciences, which is a so-called personalized medicine or precision medicine. For example, it was in 2010 where we won another national competition, the so-called leading edge cluster competition, with a program that we called Personalized Medicine and Targeted Therapies. It was not only that we got a gold medal for that, but together with that 40 million euros. The local industry contributed 40 million and the government also almost close to 20 million. And we could start a wonderful program on developing personalized medicine, changing the attitude of the local companies. And this also attracted companies from elsewhere, especially from the United States, who joined us because they realized, well, there is perhaps even a specific need here with us. We are very strong in developing new therapeutics, but we did not have too many companies who are also very good in the diagnostics field. So a number of companies joined us here in the cluster, and they were a very good contribution, and they are cooperating with the companies that work in the therapeutic field.
Tell me a little bit about the sorts of things that you do for these companies.
Well, we try to do everything. We are the janitor and we are the consultant. The good part is usually you don't pay us. We get our financing from the state government, from the state of Bavaria. And in this way, the companies are not afraid when they come to us that they will get a huge bill afterwards. So we are very open and we consult in very different ways. So one very interesting and very important topic is, of course, the start of a company, the founding of a company. We were once called the founding machine here in Bavaria. We also had actually a small fund. We still have that fund, but in the meantime, we stopped investing. More than 40 companies received seed financing from us. And in this way, we could help them to generate more and more money. In general, we help companies to acquire capital. In the past 20 years or so, it was possible to attract around 4 billion euros into the region, specifically to finance the life science companies. And this also relies on, let's say, on the activities we do with Bioam. But we help also in different aspects. We help to bring them together. We form consortia, we form networks. We just bring the partner together. Even in the times of internet and of Facebook and whatever, it's so important that people meet together. I just had a meeting here where for the first time since 2 years, the local biotech, the local diagnostic companies met. And instead of going home after the meeting, they stayed for another hour almost and started to talk to each other and started with the first collaborations. And that's the idea. And that's also, I think, might be very interesting for companies coming from elsewhere, from other parts in Germany or from the United States, that they find very interested partners there. And we are the platform where they can meet, where they can exchange ideas. And we also help them there, for example, to get funding. Germany is a very good country for funding through governmental organizations, and we help to get them to get the money from the state, from the federal government, or from the European Union, which is a big organization or funding organization as well.
How early stage will you consider companies to work with, or can anyone from early seed stage, idea stage, all the way through maybe a later round join and be helped by your organization?
Well, actually, Germany in general is very good in funding at the very early stage, in the seed stage. If you are a scientist here at a local university or at a German university, you have the advantage that you can get access to pre-seed money. And we at BioM actually developed these programs, these concepts, handed them over to the ministries, and they made real programs out of that. So, for example, in the so-called EXIST program, I think it's up to 100 million euros that have been spent in the meantime, and the same is true, or even more money, in the so-called Go Bio program, where funding goes up to 8 or 9 million euros. And that's a very good start. So you can be even in the pre-seed stage when you come here. Seed funding, we have a national seed fund, the so-called high-tech founders fund, and then also at later stages. What is missing, I have to admit, is, let's say, the big capital that is, for example, present in the United States. But if you find a local lead investor, US investors are also happy to invest here in Germany, because it's usually by a factor of 2 or 3 or 4 cheaper to invest here. So you get much more for the money than you would get in the United States. And that's what makes Germany very attractive. And that's also the reason why, especially in the past months, some people who have access to American capital, US capital, came over to Germany, try to find out what good opportunities are around, and then try to get the money transatlantically transported to come to Germany, funding here the local companies.
I mean, certainly one of our goals is to help companies to, one, understand the market, and two, look for organizations such as yours to kind of make it a soft entry and so that they can really grow. One of the things I've noticed is that Germany very specifically is clustered. Tell me a little bit about the advantages of that and where some of these clusters are.
Yeah, well, especially in the biotech field, this clustering started pretty early. I think it was in 1996 where we had again, Germany is also a country of competition, so the different places, regions, as we called them in Germany, competed with each other to get the title to be a model cluster for biotechnology. And Munich became one of these 3 selected clusters. In those days, we received 25 million euros, could help to build up an industry. And although the big industry was involved in that, they refused to take any of the money. They said it should go into the smaller sized companies. And let's say that there are the ideas from the government to do this clustering, but how to do that is left then to the cluster management organizations. And especially, I think here in Bavaria, we have a lot of advantages because our government lets us do what we want to do. We only have to be successful. As long as we are successful, we get continuous funding, and that has worked now for the past 18 years concerning our organization, and I'm very confident it will also work for the next 10 years or so. So the government says, we offer you something, but you have to be successful, and the way how you do it, that depends on your own creativity.
How easy is it for innovative startups, let's say, to collaborate with some of the larger companies that are here? Do you bridge that gap and open that communication, and are they really open to that in the biotech industry?
Absolutely. That's why we're here, why we have these very good connections, and we offer different platforms. We help our academic institutions to cooperate with the biotech companies, smaller ones, bigger ones. We help the biotech startups, the bio ventures, to cooperate with the big pharma industry. And in this case, one has also to say that it's not only the local big pharma, because in Munich we do not have so many, which is a disadvantage. On the other hand, it's also a very big advantage, because we have here in Munich the best people in the biotech industry, because they are not attracted attracted by the bigger salaries from the pharma industry, for example, and that's why our industry is so good. But we make these connections, and also I think we have connections here to more than 50 companies all over the world, to the United States, of course here in Europe, but also to Far East Asia, especially Japan, where we have built up extremely good connections.
Do you also help companies with the kind of more basic things such as company entity creation and setup and visas and that sort of thing, or is that a different way to do that?
No, we do that, of course, because when companies are coming here, we try to help them in every aspect to have a kind of soft landing that they have here. And let's say when it's getting to get more work, then we have some specialists running around here, people from consulting business who take that over, and the companies are very happy that they can hire a person who works, let's say 1 hour per week or 10 hours or even 40 or 50 hours per week for them. And they are very professional because they have done that several times. And you could walk around and talk to those companies. They are really extremely happy about that. Also, one has to admit that in contrast to many Asian countries, it's very easy to communicate in English here in Germany, and especially in Munich. Almost everybody understands you, and even if you go to a supermarket, the cashier will understand you at the end of the day. Yeah.
Must do. That makes it much easier, not as intimidating.
Yeah.
What makes Munich, we're going to go from specialty to kind of what makes Munich a great place outside of the great infrastructure and the very specific technical assistance. From your perspective, why Munich versus somewhere else?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm not born in Munich. I moved to Munich and I would never leave Munich because Munich is a wonderful place to live. Once in a while, I have the impression we are living here in a parallel world, though, so it's not the real world, because we have a wonderful surrounding here. We have the lakes, we have the Alps. I do not mention the Oktoberfest because I haven't visited the Oktoberfest, I think, for the past 5 years or so. That's an attraction for people who are just coming here for a week or so, and it might be interesting. Also, the culture that is offered here with the museums, the concerts, the operas, the theaters is very good. And one has to... people love to live here. The only problem then is that so many people like to live here that the rents of your apartments are pretty high, because everybody tries to come here. But this shows you also that's an independent measurement when you have the highest rents in the country, that this is the preferred place in the country. Now everything fits here together. And I would say also, since the people who live here, I do not want to say the Bavarians, because who is still a born Bavarian here, because so many people moved here, are very open to that. There is an open culture. There's also a very open culture to people coming from all parts of the world. They feel immediately very secure. Another important point, you can go, my wife can go when she comes home from the opera at 11 o'clock in the evening. She can use the subway, she can use the bus, and she never is afraid that anything would happen to her. That's a very important aspect.
Absolutely. Any last minute advice for what sort of mistakes companies do make when they come and they aren't really prepared? Or any thoughts on how to not get into some sort of regulatory challenge? Or
Well, I would say it's important to get all informations beforehand, and we are here to help out. They can just write an email to info@bio-m.de and it will reach us, and we try to answer all the questions. It's much better than having arrived and having a big problem and realizing, well, probably it does not work here. But we are here to help. We are in very close collaboration with our governmental organizations. And if it's people from the United States, they should just contact Invest in Bavaria, because that's the experts where they can get all the advice that they need, and that they have a perfect start here with us.
Absolutely. Horst, thank you very much for spending time with us this evening. And for all of you listeners, we want you to make sure you reach out, learn more, don't make the mistakes that we've seen many, many companies do. Come to Bavaria. This is Anke with Globig. Go global and go big.